Hello everyone, and welcome to Fictional Vortex. So we are back with an interesting series on what if Naruto had Kyuubi's legacy and become Forest King. But before we start, I just want to remind you to please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button if you enjoy my content. Let's start the story. October 1st Naruto had learned to dread that day. It was the day of his birth, and on this very day, he turned 5 years old. But also, it was the day that the huge nine-tailed demonic fox, the Kyuubi, attacked Naruto's village, Konoha. The villagers, every day of the year, glared at Naruto and even at some points, beat him, but on this day, it got worse. The villagers would beat him within an inch of his life, or destroy his home, yell at him and call him a demon or an abomination. And the worst part? Naruto was only a child, an orphan, and hadn't done anything to the village he called home. The sky was dark, the moon was a small sliver that seemed almost non-existent. Street lamps lit the empty streets. Walking slowly, limping as he did so, a small blonde-haired boy made his way toward the apartment he resided in. Surrounding both of the boy's cerulean eyes were dark purple bruises, and a small bit of blood dribbled down the boy's chin. The boy's body was covered in bruises and his clothes were torn and stained with his own blood. "Oh, heel LLLWOOO. Dem hick demon hick brat," called a drunken slur from behind limping boy, dripping with venom and hate. The boy turned. Behind him stood a tall man, slouched slightly, eyes half closed. His hair was short cut, deep brown in color, and he had unshaven facial hair. His eyes were pure black and filled with hate. In one hand, the man held a rather large bottle of sake, which was half empty, and in the other was a shining katana, held so tightly that the man's knuckles were turning white. The man was dressed in all black, he wore no shoes, and wore a black cloak over a black shirt and black pants. He wore no hite, and wasn't a ninja. The smell of sake was evident on his breath and body. The boy pinched his nose, trying to ward off the distinct smell of alcohol. His cerulean eyes scanned the drunken man up and down as he advanced forward, finally falling upon the shining blade of his poised katana. His eyes widened. He could sense the killer's intent in the man's eyes, and at that moment, he knew he had to run, but his body ached and he was too tired to run away. The last thing the boy felt before all went blank was an incredibly painful feeling in his gut and a very metallic taste in his mouth. Naruto's head throbbed and his body ached. There was a terrible stinging pain in his stomach. Ugh! Naruto's cerulean eyes blinked open. He stared around at his surrounding. He was laying in water and there was a dripping sound that echoed through, wherever he was. There was a system of pipes running along the ceiling. Most of the pipes were a silverfish blue, but some had a red tinge to them. Where he was, appeared to be a hallway of some sort, with many corridors to his left and right. Naruto sat up, placing his hand on his forehead, attempting to calm the throbbing pain in his head. He stared forward, his eyes widened. In front of him was a huge cage with kanji for seal on a sign on the front. But this cage wasn't closed, nor in the best condition. The gates were wide open and the bars were all bent, some broken or completely missing, and from the darkness of the cage two glowing, pupil-less emerald eyes. What is this? What are you? Naruto asked, fear rattling his voice. A deep, feral voice rattled from the dark shadows of the cage, answering the boy's questions. This, kid, was the seal placed upon you by Yondaime Hokage, forever trapping me within you, and I am the reason that they, the villagers, hate you, despise you with every fiber of their being. I am the Kyuubi, the nine-tailed fox. The Kyuubi, Naruto repeated, rising to his feet. He pointed at the shadows. I am possible. Yondaime killed you at the cost of his own life. The Kyuubi chuckled slightly and closed his pupil-less eyes. Sorry, kid, but Yondaime, your father, wasn't able to kill me. He only sealed me within the navel of a newborn child, you. Why, Yondaime would never do that, Naruto yelled, and, what do you mean by that, my father? Kid, what I mean is that the man that sealed me within you, the one revered as the best Hokage, was your father. Kyuubi paused, and he sealed me within you to protect you. I remember that, before he died, he said that he wanted you to be treated as the hero who saved the village, and not the demon sealed within you. Guess his wishes went unbidden. Naruto remained silent, digesting the new information he had just been given, Within him, sealed the strongest creature, demon or human, to ever roam the earth. And his heritage, he had a family, his own father the best leader the village hidden in the leaves, Konoha ever had. Tears fell from Naruto's cerulean eyes. Why? Two emerald eyes looked up and stared at the blonde-haired boy. Why what, Kit? Kyuubi asked. Why did you attack my village? Why did you kill my father? Naruto yelled, fists clenched and tears rolling down his cheeks. Kyuubi closed his eyes and sighed. He walked forward, each step he took rumbling the watery ground. He emerged from the shadows and stood in front of Naruto, in all his glory. Kyuubi wasn't the crimson-coated fox with glowing red eyes and 9 tails that could topple a mountain or cause a tsunami, as depicted in all of the stories that Naruto had heard. He was just as large as depicted in all the stories, but not very menacing looking. His fur, rather than crimson, was a light, almost silvery gray, with orange tipping his tails and ears and coloring his huge paws, and his eyes were pupil-less bright emerald. Kyuubi's 9 tails didn't flail, nor move, but trailed behind him, dragging behind him, disappearing back into the shadows of the cage. Kyuubi's fangs were clearly visible, peeking over his black-lined lips, but didn't make his look at all menacing. If anything, Kyuubi looked like an overgrown pet dog with 9 tails. Kyuubi bowed his head and closed his eyes. He let out a monstrous sigh and shook his head. Kit, I didn't mean to do that. What do you mean? How could you not mean to destroy a whole village and kill so many people? Naruto yelled, staring up at the monstrous fox with pain in his eyes. Kit, I wasn't there, my body was, but my soul wasn't. I was under control. It was like my mind and soul were bound and gagged and left for dead within the corridors of my own mind, and someone else was in control of my mind. By the time the other presence left, I was here, sealed within you. And the first thing I heard was the last words of your father. I remember very clearly the one who took control of my body, his name, Orochimaru. Damn snake. I remember what he made me do, and for that, I am deeply sorry. Naruto rubbed his eyes and stared into the Kyuubi's eyes. It was true. Kyuubi wasn't lying. Now, the 5-year-old Naruto burst into tears. Kyuubi stared down at Naruto and wrapped one of his long tails around the crying boy. Don't cry, Kit, Kyuubi said. Kit, we need to do something, now. If we don't your body will die, then we will both die. What do you mean? Naruto asked. This is your mind, but your body is suffering. Being stabbed through the gut isn't exactly something I can heal so easily with my chakra, especially a wound so close to the seal. If we don't do something quick, we will both be killed. What will we do? There's only one thing that will save us, but it's extremely dangerous. And it could have a few side effects. Like what? Well, superhuman strength, advanced sense of hearing and smell, fox-like traits, you know the usual. Also, the face that I will no longer be sealed within you. I'll be whole again. Well, not exactly. I'll probably be a lot less tails, and you'll have the ability to summon foxes through a Kachiyose no Jutsu, without using blood. At this point, Naruto looked excited. I'll do it, he said, his voice filled with confidence. Kyuubi smiled. Thought so, Kyuubi said. This might hurt a little. It's not every day that a small kid like yourself absorbs half the chakra of one of the strongest demons to ever live. Kyuubi put all 9 of his tails around the small blonde and allowed a huge amount of red chakra to seep into the boy's body. Naruto screamed in pain and allowed the blackness of unconsciousness overcome him. Naruto was slowly regaining consciousness. His head was throbbing, but he no longer had a stinging pain in his stomach, nor did his body ache half as much as it had before. He opened his cerulean eyes and stared in the face of a large fox. Kyuubi. Well, not exactly. The once great 1-meter-tall Kyuubi with 9 great tails that could topple mountains or cause tsunamis was now only about a meter of so tall, about the size of a tiger, maybe slightly taller, and was now reduced to only 3 tails. Kyuubi, is that you? Naruto asked. You finally awake, Kit? Naruto nodded. Yeah. But you didn't answer my question, Naruto said. Kyuubi, is that you? Kyuubi nodded. Yes, smart ass. But I'm not exactly Kyuubi anymore, more like Sanbi, but that name's kinda already taken by the 3-tailed sea beast. Anyway, Kyuubi isn't my name, more my rank or status. Really? What is your name? Naruto asked. Daichi's the name, the former Kyuubi said, sitting on his haunches and pointing to himself with his claw. Daichi, mmHmm. Daichi said, nodding. Anyway, you look different, to say the least. I do? Naruto asked. Daichi nodded and pushed Naruto toward the lake beside them with his front paws. Naruto stared at his reflection. He did look different. His blonde hair had gotten slightly longer and now had highlights of red. The whisker marks on his cheeks had gotten darker and his eyes, though still cerulean, now had slit pupils. Naruto noticed that he no longer had human ears, but two golden fox ears, both tipped with orange, perched atop his messy hair. Also, Naruto noticed he had a meter-long golden tail, also tipped with orange. He still wore the clothing he had the last time he was conscious, a black t-shirt, tan shorts, and blue sandals. Naruto noticed that his black t-shirt had a hole through the gut and was covered in blood, but Naruto had no wound, and even his black eyes and bruises were gone. Daichi came up behind Naruto. "Ya no, you could use some new clothing," Daichi said, smirking. "Those are kinda dirty and tattered." "Well, what exactly do you expect me to do?" the 5-year-old yelled. "I'm not exactly welcome in Konoha. "Oh, you will be going back, just know any time soon. I can get ya some new clothing easy, though," Daichi said. Still sitting on his haunches, Daichi snapped his claws. N. Foxes don't have fingers, to my recollection. And in a poof of smoke, a small scroll appeared in his paw. Another N. Foxes don't have hands, but Kyuubi, aka Daichi, I have decided, will have opposable thumbs, claws. This kit is a sealing scroll. Within it, I have sealed clothing fit got a great fox, in his human form. Foxes have human forms? Naruto asked, letting his 5-year-old curiosity get a hold of him. Yes, all foxes with more than one tail, but that's not the point. These clothes are very special. They grow with you and can never be damaged, so they're like armor. Also, you can change their color or appearance, just be thinking of it. Handy things, built for foxes and no other creature. Daichi explained. If all foxes have a human form, why don't you go into human form? Naruto asked, not listening to what Daichi had to say. "'Cause I like being a fox better than I like being a human, but that's no the point. Scroll, clothes, get dressed," Daichi yelled. How? Naruto asked. "Grr," Daichi growled and threw his scroll to the ground. He opened it and slammed his paw onto the paper. In a plum of smoke, a pile of clothing appeared. The clothing consisted of black t-shirt with a silver fox head outlined on the front, an orange shirt with a black fox head outlined on the front, black shorts, blue sandals, black sandals, a fang and claw necklace, an orange hoodie, an orange jacket, a black leather jacket, an orange cloak, a black cloak, and a brown kimono. "Take your pick," Daichi said. Naruto walked forward and grabbed the orange shirt, the black shorts, the black sandals, and the fang and claw necklace from the pile. With that, he ran off behind some trees to change. Daichi chuckled and resealed the rest of the clothing back into the scroll. "I used to wear clothes just like those when I was younger," he said to himself. Naruto emerged from the trees a few minutes later, donning his new clothing. "What now, Daichi?" Naruto asked, folding his arms behind his head. "From now on, kid, you'll address me as Daichi-sama, or Daichi-sensei, take your pick," Daichi said. "Why, Daichi, sensei?" Naruto asked. "'Cause I said so," Daichi said, smirking. "Please tell me," Naruto whined. "Fine, you wanted to be a ninja, right, Naruto?" Naruto nodded vigorously. "Yes," he yelled, excitedly. "Then, we'll be training, and 5 or 6 years from now, you'll be returning to the village that you used to call home. And there, you'll become a real ninja. But heed my word, kid, don't resent them for what they've done in the past. Treasure that village, like your father did." Naruto nodded. "Yes, Daichi-sensei. Yes, good," Daichi said. "Now, let's get going, it's getting boring just standing here." With that, Daichi ran off further into the forest, Naruto running behind him. For the next 5 years, Daichi would train Naruto the techniques of the kitsune and the techniques of both his father and village. Elsewhere, that same day, Two shinobi stood in front of the Hokage. Hokage-sama, we have news that the Kyuubi container was killed last night by Happa Ichigo. His body wasn't found, but there was a lot of blood found, both where the murder was committed and where the body was dumped. We assume that the body was destroyed by animals in the forest. One of the men spoke, while the other nodded. I say good riddance to that demon brat, the second man said. The first man nodded. Sarutobi shook his head. You are dismissed, he said simply. The two shinobi nodded and left. Poor Naruto, he could have been a great ninja. I am sorry. Arashi, Sarutobi sighed. Two figures made their way toward the gates of Konoha. One, the shorter of the two, wore a black hooded cloak, open, exposing an orange shirt with a black fox head outlined on the front. The hood of the cloak was up, shadowing over the top of the person's face. On the back of the black cloak was the Konohagakure leaf in gold. The boy wore black shorts, black sandals, and a shuriken holster on his right leg. Hanging around the person's neck was a necklace comprised of the fangs and claws of foxes. The taller was wearing a hood-less cloak with a high color. The cloak was not open, so you could not see what he was wearing. He wore no shoes on his bare feet. The person wore a red bandana around his head. He had messy, shoulder-length silver hair with orange highlights and bright, pupil-less emerald eyes. Daichi-sensei? Asked the smaller of the two figures. Do you think that they'll accept me? The taller of the two grinned. Course they will. And if they don't, then beat their asses until they do. The taller, known as Daichi, said happily. The shorter laughed. That's good advice. Course it is. All of my advice is good, Daichi said. Yeah right, muttered the smaller. Grr, Daichi growled. Oh, and with that, the smaller ran ahead, now being chased by his own sensei, toward the gates of the village hidden in the leaves. The chase pursued until both people arrived at Konoha's gate. A guard stood there. Konoha Hite 8. What'ja want? The man asked. We wish to see Sandame Hokage, the shorter spoke. Sorry, nope. Today's a celebration, no one allowed in, the guard said. Celebration of what? Daichi asked. Celebration of Yondaime defeating the Kyuubi, the guard said, arrogantly. Yeah right, both boys muttered under their breath. What was that? The guard asked. Nothing, Daichi said, waving his hands in front of his body. Hey, the Junin said, also, about 5 years ago, a kid, the Kyuubi container was killed. Kinda a celebration amongst most villagers here, though Hokage doesn't like to talk about it much, the guard half whispered. Almost forgot today was my birthday, the shorter figure thought. Hey, today, 10 years ago, I was supposedly killed, just as bad, retorted Daichi in the boy's mind. The two, Daichi and the boy, known as Naruto, had developed a telepathic connection through 5 years of training, and were able to read each other's minds, partly because, at one time, Daichi, the former Kyuubi, had been sealed inside Naruto, and partly because they shared the same red, demonic chakra. Look, we just need to see Hokage-sama, nothing else. It'll only take a few minutes, Daichi insisted. Yeah, won't take too long, we only wish to deliver a message, Naruto lied. Grr, fine, but only to deliver the message, the guard muttered, allowing the two to enter the gates of Konoha. Sarutobi was in the middle of doing paperwork when he heard a knock at the door. What is it? He asked, rubbing his temples. There are 2 people here to see you, Hokage-sama, a voice came. Sarutobi sighed. Send them in. Sarutobi dreaded this day every year. It was the anniversary of the death of one of Konoha's greatest nin, but also, the death of that nin's own son, a child who held great potential murdered in cold blood, and this death had been celebrated. 2 people entered Sarutobi's office, Daichi and Naruto, of course. Sarutobi had no way of knowing this. What is it you want? Please hurry, I have things to do. That's no way to treat quests, old man, yelled the smaller of the 2 people, Naruto. This outburst earned a slap upside the head from Daichi. That's no way to treat you elders, Daichi snapped. Grr, Naruto bowed. Sorry, old man Sama, Daichi hit Naruto again. Grr, Hokage-sama, Naruto muttered. Please, state your names and business, Sarutobi said. Ah, yes. My name is Daichi and this is my student. He wishes to become a ninja. I have no need to, but I would like to become a resident of Konohagakure, so I can continue to watch over my student, as I have for his whole life. He's an orphan, you know, Daichi said. I don't see why not, Sarutobi muttered, but he will have to be entered in the ninja academy. Daichi nodded. Thank you, Hokage-sama, that will do fine, Daichi said. Yes, Sarutobi said, wanting to get the pair out as soon as possible. And your student's name? My name, Naruto said, slowly, is Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto. Sarutobi's eyes widened, and he gasped. Impossible. Uzumaki Naruto died years ago. Uzumaki Naruto was murdered exactly 5 years ago, Sarutobi said, sadness filling his voice. Hey. You really think I would die that easily? Naruto crossed his arms and shook his head. No one wanted to investigate the murder of the Kyuubi brat. He used finger quotes to emphasize his point. Naruto pulled his hood from his head, revealing his blonde, red-streaked hair, cerulean eyes and golden fox ears. I am Uzumaki Naruto. Believe it, Naruto sat at the table in the kitchen of his new apartment, devouring the steaming hot bowl of ramen. I almost forgot what this tasted like. It's tons better than the kitsune udon that Daichi always makes me eat. Kitsune udon means fox noodles. No, they're no made from foxes, they're just called that. As soon as this comment was made, Naruto felt someone slap him upside the head. He looked up to see Daichi. Hey, don't insult kitsune udon, Daichi said, pointing at Naruto's nose. But ramen's a lot better, Naruto retorted. Daichi shook his head. No, kitsune udon is 10 times better. No, ramen's better. Kitsune udon. Ramen. 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 Okay. As much as I'd like to stay and argue, you really need to get ready. You start academy today, and I really need to go back to sleep. Lazy ass, Naruto muttered under his breath. Daichi slapped him upside the head. I heard that, he said simply, retreating back into his room. Naruto sighed and walked into his room to get ready. The apartment that Naruto and Daichi now resided in had 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, 2 bathrooms, and a living room. Naruto remembered clearly how he had come to get this apartment like it was yesterday. 'Cause it was. Flashback. I am Uzumaki Naruto, believe it. Sarutobi stared. This boy did resemble the Naruto that had supposedly been killed 5 years before, but this Naruto had fox ears and red stakes in his blonde hair. Could he possibly be the same Naruto? Well, woulda just stop staring. I know I've supposedly been dead for 5 years, but you shouldn't stare, old man, it's rude, Naruto smirked. Sarutobi was speechless. Naruto looked up at his twitching fox ears. Oh, almost forgot about these, he said, pulling on his own ears. Kinda a funny story, actually. Naruto looked over at Daichi. Daichi crossed his arms. I'm not telling the story, Daichi said, shaking his head. Grr, fine, I'll tell the story, Naruto muttered. Well, ya see, I almost died, Naruto started, but I was kinda saved by the Kyuubi, and as a result I kinda became half fox, I guess, and the Kyuubi was kinda freed. Sarutobi's eyes widened and he looked as if he was going to faint. Daichi slapped Naruto upside the head. Good goin', kid. You scared the old guy. Naruto grinned and laughed nervously. Wrong choice of words, I guess. What do you mean? The Kyuubi was freed? Sarutobi asked shakily. Well, I guess I mean that he's no longer sealed within me and is kinda living within this world. Also I learned, other than the fact that the Kyuubi was sealed in me, that my father was Yondaime Hokage, and what the Kyuubi's name really is, and why the Kyuubi attacked Konoha, Naruto added. What happened to the Kyuubi? Sarutobi asked. Well, he trained me, and looked after me, I guess. With that, Naruto sneaked behind Daichi and pulled the red bandana away from his head, revealing his silver, orange-tipped, fox ears. Old man, meet Kyuubi, meet old man. Hey, technically, I ain't the Kyuubi anymore. Daichi lifted his 3 tails, not 9. Why did you attack our village? Sarutobi asked, anger rising. I didn't mean to, I had no control over my body, Daichi said, Calmly, my mind and soul were being imprisoned in the corridors of my mind and my body was being controlled by the snake bastard, Orochimaru. There was silence between the three for a few minutes, until Naruto finally spoke up. "Hey old man," Naruto said, "we kinda need a place to live." Sarutobi smiled. "Oh, yes," Sarutobi said. He searched through his office, finally coming upon a key. He walked over and placed the key into Naruto's palm. "This is the key to the apartment I was going to give you for your 10th birthday. I guess I actually got to give it to you, Uzumaki Naruto." "Thanks old man." End flashback. Naruto emerged from his room, wearing his clothes in their original form. An orange shirt with a black fox head outlined on the front, black shorts, black ninja sandals, and a fang and claw necklace. He did not cover his ears or tail, though. Naruto did a quick one-handed seal. That looked more like a flick of the wrist than anything else. Henge no Jutsu. With that, Naruto transformed into what he would look like if he wasn't half fox. His hair was still shoulder length, but no longer held red streaks. He also and his fox ears receded into human ears. The whisker marks on his cheeks became thinned and his pupils looked like those of a normal human. He still wore the same clothes as before, though. Naruto walked outside and did a few one-handed seals that looked unfamiliar, hand seals only used by Kitsune. Naruto slammed his palm to the ground. Kachiyose number jutsu. In a plum of smoke, a large fox appeared. The fox was the size of a Newfoundland dog, and had two bushy tails. Its eyes were green with slit pupils, and its fur was fiery orange. Naruto jumped onto the back of the abnormally large fox. "To the academy, Hikaru," Naruto said. The fox, Hikaru, nodded. "Yes, Naruto-kun," the fox said, bolting off in the direction on the academy. As Naruto and Hikaru rode toward academy, Naruto couldn't help but notice the glares of the villagers. Hey. You'd think that they'd be happy to see the Kyuubi brat that they thought was dead riding on the back or a demonic fox, oh well. At this Hikaru simply laughed and continued on running. Elsewhere. Iruka was sitting at his desk, calling roll. Aburame Shino. Here. Akamichi Choji? Here. Haruno Sakura. Here. Hyuga Hinata? H here. Inazuka Kiba. Here. Arf. Narashikamaru. Here. Troublesome. Uchiha Sasuke. Here. Yamanaka Ino. Here. Hey Sasuke-kun. Iruka paused, then read the new name that had been added to the list. Uzumaki Naruto. The students all snickered. Iruka sighed. He knew someone must have been pulling a prank on him. He had heard of Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto had been the container of the Kyuubi, the nine-tailed fox. He had been murdered 5 years before, when he was only a 5-year-old child. His body was never found, and it was assumed that his body had been taken off by animals. All right. Haha. Who did it? Who put this name on the list? No student answered. Iruka sighed again. If no one will confess, then I guess I'll have to punish the whole CL. Before Iruka could finish his statement, a huge hole appeared in the door and in the center of the classroom stood a huge orange fox with a blonde-haired boy sitting on his head. The boy, Naruto, jumped off the fox's back and landed on the floor. It's okay, you can go now, Hikaru, Naruto said. Hikaru nodded and disappeared in a poof of smoke. Iheha, Naruto laughed nervously, rubbing the back of his neck. Sorry if I'm a little late, I kinda got a little lost. Who are you? Iruka asked. Oh, yeah, I forgot, Naruto laughed. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. Believe it, Naruto yelled, pumping his fist into the air. The people in the classroom just stared. Class that day went by boringly. Naruto couldn't exactly remember what happened, because he had slept most of the day. Now, it was recess time. The other students played or conversed, but Naruto simply sat in a tree and watched. In a far corner, he noticed a kid with a dog, named Inazuka Kiba, talking to a taller man who was wearing a black cloak with a high collar and a red bandana, a man Naruto recognized as Daichi. Daichi was reading an orange book that he had come acquainted to during their training, Icha Icha Paradise. Kiba was yelling something. Akamaru, the dog, was barking along. Who are you? Kiba yelled. Akamaru barked. I am the wind. I just watch and wander, Daichi said, before continuing reading the little orange book. You smell like fox. Kiba insulted. Go away, Inu, Daichi muttered. Why you? Kiba advanced toward Daichi and was about to punch him in the gut. Daichi stopped the boy but reaching forward and flicking Kiba on the nose. The simple flick sent Kiba flying backward several meters, into a tree. The other students stared, even the seemingly emotionless Shino, and the lazy Shikamaru. Naruto laughed. He had learned not to bother Daichi when he was reading the perverted orange book, but it was rather funny to watch him beat up other people for making the same mistake that he, himself had made many times. Naruto jumped out of the tree when Iruka called them back into the academy. Before Naruto went in, Daichi stopped him. What are we going to do today? Daichi asked. Prank Iruka, Daichi-sensei, prank Iruka. With that, Naruto re-entered the building. To say that Iruka was pissed, that would be a major understatement. He was beyond pissed. Pissed times infinity plus 51. Maybe. Yes, and what was the cause of this anger? Uzumaki Naruto and Daichi the fox. Yes, the reason? Well, let's see. Iruka was having a terrible day already. He overslept slightly, didn't eat breakfast, fell face first into a puddle of mud on his way to school, and now, he found the classroom in ruins. Miles of toilet paper were strung around the room, covering desks, chairs and the floor. The room had been sprayed down with many colors of silly string, to where it almost completely covered the walls, and the 50 or so empty cans littered the floor. Covering the ceiling and floor were a few brightly painted symbols, all kanji for kitsune, a few cans of spray paint laid discarded, along with the empty cans of silly string. To top it off, when Iruka had opened the door, he had been doused in a thick, light red mixture of red tomato sauce and pink, bubblegum-flavored toothpaste, mixes with chunks of multicolored clay. And when he had sat down at his desk, without looking where he was sitting, he sat down upon several sharp tacks. A few seconds later, the whole chair collapsed under him, leaving the extremely pissed Iruka on the floor. And worst of all, at the very second, almost all of the students entered the classroom, where they promptly burst into laughter. But who wouldn't laugh if they saw their classroom TP'd and cover in silly string and their teacher doused in a funky mixture of tomato sauce, toothpaste and claw, lying on the floor with tacks in his ass and a crumpled chair underneath him? Naruto laughed the hardest, and walked into the far corner of the room. He grabbed a dangling rope, which Iruka had failed to notice, and gave in a good, hard yank. Iruka looked up, just in time to see a bucket of fluffy white feathers being dumped on his head. And the class laughed even louder. Iruka looked kinda like a chicken now. He was covered from head to toe in a funky red mixture and white feathers, with tacks in his ass and a very pissed expression on his face. The classroom had been vandalized with toilet paper, silly string and spray paint. And tumbling from bucket where the feathers had fallen from, a white card with a silver fox head outlined on the front fell onto Iruka's chest. Naruto. The floor was still littered with toilet paper, and the walls were still littered with silly string, but careful measures had been made to clear all chairs and desks of the materials. Iruka stood at the front of the class, addressing the class on the matter. He was still covered the tomato sauce goop and the white feathers, but he had managed to get it off of his face and was in the process of picking it out of his hair. Okay. Who did this? Iruka growled, holding up the white calling card left at the crime scene. The class remained silent, all except Naruto, who was behind everyone else, snickering to himself, quietly. Iruka knew full well that it had been Naruto who had done it. It didn't take a genius to figure it out, but Iruka decided that he'd let Naruto confess it himself. Hopefully he would humiliate himself in the process. But all he had succeeded in was humiliating himself in front of his whole class, the culprit included. Yup, he'd been caught. No more games, time to run. Naruto made a dash toward the door, but was caught by the color of his shirt by Iruka. It was you, wasn't it, Uzumaki Naruto? Naruto gulped and played innocent. No. Why would you think that, sensei? Naruto said in a fake innocent voice. Grr, don't play dumb. It doesn't take an idiot to figure out that you did it, Iruka said, putting the white calling card in front of Naruto's face. The silver fox head outlined on the front was the exact same one embroidered on the front of Naruto's. About that, Naruto gulped, sweating profusely. Naruto, okay, I did it, but I didn't do it alone, Naruto said. Oh, who helped you in the prank? Iruka asked. My guardian, Daichi. Naruto said, hoping that Daichi wasn't listening from outside as he usually did. Daichi? Yeah, he's like taller than me and wears a weird black trench coat and a red bandana. He was here yesterday during recess, Naruto explained, trying to cut his punishment a little. That guy that smelled like foxes reading that little orange book, Kiba yelled out. Naruto nodded. Yeah, that's the one, Naruto said. The room was still a mess and Iruka was still mess. Naruto had learned of his punishment, an oral quiz, which he had passed with flying colors and now class had started. Okay. Sorry about that class, Iruka said, glaring at Naruto. Now, we can finally start class as intended. Finally, a few voices among the students said, others couldn't care less, and others, Shikamaru, for example, was asleep and wasn't paying any attention whatsoever. Today, we will be demonstrating a henge no jutsu, a technique that all of you should know by now, Iruka said. Naruto gulped. The henge no jutsu was something that Naruto was good at. In fact, he used it all the time. He was even using it at the moment. It would be a piece of cake, normally. But he couldn't now. If he performed any jutsu at this time, his current henge could be lost, revealing his true form to the class, even if only for a few seconds. He couldn't risk it. He would just have to fake a flunk. Naruto watched as every student went up to the front and executed the jutsu, some perfectly, turning into a perfect replica of Iruka, and others, not so much. Now it was his turn to try. Uzumaki Naruto, Iruka called. Naruto rose from his seat and walked to the front of the room. He made the appropriate hand seals and even called out, henge no jutsu, but didn't put any chakra into it. Quickly and stealthily, Naruto grabbed a smoke bomb from his shuriken holster, to give the illusion that something had indeed happened. But when the smoke dissipated, all that stood was a normal-looking Naruto with his hands still in the appropriate seal. The class burst out laughing at Naruto's tremendous failure. Naruto growled. Even though he had meant for it not to work, he still didn't like being laughed at. Oi! Shut up. One day, I'll be the best at this jutsu and every other, Naruto yelled, truthfully. It had been 2 long years since Naruto had come back to Konoha and started his life as an academy student. His life still wasn't what you would call normal. But who can be normal when they are half kitsune and live in an apartment with the perverted Kyuubi that had once resided in their own body, though now reduced to 3 tails, and who just happens to be their mentor and guardian? Naruto was considered dead last in his class, mostly because he always faked his henge, and he had always had trouble with a certain jutsu that you were expected to master in academy. But, he had always excelled in shuriken and kunai throwing. Hopefully, that would be enough to pass the genin exam. In the last 2 years, Naruto had pulled countless pranks against Iruka and Sarutobi. Also, Naruto had made a few friends. Inuzuka Kiba, Nara Shikamaru, Akamichi Choji, Aburame Shino. To a very small extent. And Hyuga Hinata. Although she tended to blush, stutter, and even faint when he was around her, which happened a lot, considering the fact that she sat right beside him. Naruto had also made an enemy or two, Sasuke, Naruto had even become considerable friends with Iruka. And today, was the day of the genin exam, and Naruto prayed that he would pass. Iruka stood in front of the class. Today, is the genin exam. I will be testing your strength and what you have learned in the last 2 years. Gulps and cheers ran through the crowd of students, as well as the snores of Shikamaru. When I call your name, come with me into the next room, so I can test your skills, Iruka explained. Come with me, Aburame Shino, Iruka said, walking into the back room. Shino followed after him. Inside the room, Iruka stood beside Shino and a man with silver hair. Mizuki sat in a chair in the corner. There was a table off to the side, several hite atesh laying on it. To pass the test and become an official genin, you must create 3 perfect, functional clones. Shino nodded and complied, forming 3 perfect clones. He exited the room sporting a new Konoha headband. Naruto watched as everyone else went in the room and left, wearing new Konoha headbands. Now, it was his turn. Uzumaki Naruto gulped and followed Iruka to the next room. Naruto, to pass the test and become an official genin, you must create 3 perfect, functional clones, Iruka said, as he had for every other student. Naruto gulped. The Bushin no Jutsu had been the one jutsu that Naruto had never even gotten close to mastering. Even when he had been training with Daichi, all those years, he had never been able to master a simple Bushin. They always turned out disfigured, sickly, or even dead. Naruto put his hands in the appropriate seal and called out the name of the jutsu. Bushin no Jutsu. Naruto called. There was a poof of smoke, and when it dissipated, there were two Narutos. One was the original, and the other sickly, near death, sprawled out on the floor at the original Naruto's feet. Naruto sighed and sweat dropped at his own clone. It was pathetic, even he knew that. Within seconds, the clone disappeared in a poof of smoke. Iruka sighed. Fail, wait, I can do better than that. Can I please had another try? I can do a better, more powerful jutsu. Iruka crossed his arms and shook his head. Sorry, Naruto, but I can't give you a second try. It wouldn't be fair to any other students that might have failed. Oh, come on, Iruka, let him pass. He did make one clone, after all, Mizuki said. But he only made one, and it was near death. Sorry Naruto, better luck next time, Iruka said, sadly. Naruto quietly walked from the room, a sad expression plastered on his normally grinning face. As Naruto exited, a small, lavender-eyed girl watched. Naruto-kun, she whispered sadly. Naruto sat on a branch of a tree, watching as parents congratulated their children on becoming genin. He also heard the adults talking about him. That's the demon kid, good thing he didn't pass, we don't need a demon being a ninja, On said. Naruto looked at the ground and sighed. Bushin no Jutsu. A voice that he recognized as Daichi's, asked from behind him. Naruto looked to see a small, chibi version of Daichi in his three-tail fox form, holding a little orange book up with one paw. The chibi Daichi, which happened to be his favorite form, was the size of a normal fox but had three wispy tails, pupil-less emerald eyes, and silver and orange fur. Just like his normal fox form, only smaller. Naruto nodded at Daichi's question. Yeah, how'd y'all know? Believe it or not, I can't do a simple Bushin either, and look at me, I was the strongest demon to ever live. I even lead a village, much like this one. You really can't do a Bushin? Naruto asked. Nope. 'Cause every time I try, I used to always release too much chakra and I'd end up zapping my clone. I never got more than one and that one always looked dead. Hee. Same with me. Naruto muttered. Someone approached the two. Well, I'm off, Daichi said, disappearing in a poof of smoke. Uzumaki Naruto, a voice said. Naruto looked down to see the man known as Mizuki. What do you want? Naruto muttered. I know a way for you to become genin, Mizuki said. Naruto instantly brightened up a little. How? All you need to do is get the forbidden jutsu scroll and show Iruka one jutsu from it. He'll pass ya, for sure, Mizuki said cheerfully. Ya right, and then I'll get in big trouble. I mean it's forbidden for a reason. Does he really think that I'm that stupid? I'm interested Kit, D's mind via telepathic connection. Ya, and curiosity killed the cat, true. But remember, we're foxes, not cats, said Daichi. Ya. What do you want? Do what he says, I want to see what he's up to, Daichi said. Fine. I'll do it, Naruto called with fake enthusiasm. Mizuki smirked inwardly. Stupid Kyuubi brat, he'll be out of this village and I'll have the forbidden scroll. Naruto was in the middle of the forest, unopened forbidden scroll laying at his feet, leaning against the trunk of a tree. He was staring up at the moon in the night sky. Leaning against another tree was Daichi, in his chibi form, reading Icha Paradise. Iruka was in the Hokage's office, talking to him about the students. Suddenly, Mizuki burst into the room. Hokage-sama. Iruka-san. Quick. Naruto's stolen the forbidden scroll. What? They both said, looking up. It's true. He said he wanted to use it to destroy Konoha, Mizuki lied. Kami. Iruka muttered, running out of the room, into the forest to search for Naruto. Mizuki followed suit. Naruto. Naruto glanced toward the side and saw Iruka coming toward him. Hey, Iruka-sensei, Naruto said, waving. Naruto, what are you doing here? Iruka asked, half yelling. Oh, yeah. Well, Mizuki-sensei told me to take the forbidden scroll and learn a jutsu from it, so I could pass the genin exams, Naruto explained. Mizuki told you to take it? Iruka asked. Naruto nodded. Yeah, and I was going to say no, but I was curious. I mean, it was obvious that he was doing it for his own reasons. So I decided to find out what, exactly, it was that he wanted. And technically, I wasn't the one who stole it anyway. It was Daichi, Naruto said, glancing sideways at the chibi former Kyuubi. Daichi, still reading the perverted orange book, raised his other paw, in a sort of a wave. Yo. Naruto, is that a fox? Iruka asked. Naruto nodded. I guess so, Naruto said. Isn't Daichi your guardian? Iruka asked. Naruto nodded. So your guardian's a fox? When he wants to be. Naruto, what do you plan on doing with that scroll? Nothing, Naruto said. Brat, gimme the scroll, said the voice of Mizuki. Let me think. No, Naruto yelled. Hey brat. Yeah? Naruto asked. Wanna know why they hate you so much? Everyone in this village, I mean, Iruka included. Don't tell him, Mizuki, yelled Iruka. Tell me what? Naruto asked. You killed them, Yondaime, many shinobi, and even Iruka's parents, they all hate me because. Don't tell him, it's against the law, Iruka said, moving in front of Naruto in order to protect him as Mizuki grabbed his shuriken from his back. I've never killed anyone before, Naruto muttered, clueless idiot. Naruto, the reason they hate you is, no Mizuki. You are the Kyuubi, the nine-tailed fox, Naruto blinked. Okay, that, I know for sure, isn't true. Even though the Kyuubi was sealed within me. He isn't anymore, besides, as far as I know, I only have one tail. The two stared, not only did he know of the fox, now he was saying that he had a tail. Naruto rolled his eyes and sighed. There was a poof of smoke as Naruto released his henge, revealing his fox-like features. He wrapped his tail around the forbidden scroll. And Mizuki, I won't let you take my father's scroll, Naruto said. Mizuki smirked at Naruto. Your father? Mizuki laughed. Who do you think you are? You're a bastard child and a demon. You have no father, and even if you did, he probably abandoned you, 'cause you're a demon. You know nothing, Naruto growled. My father, he protected this village with his life. He was a truly great shinobi. Mizuki smirked. Mizuki ran toward Naruto and threw his shuriken. Naruto had no time to react as the huge shuriken moved toward him at rapid speed. Naruto squeezed his eyes shut and awaited what fate had planned for him. But nothing came. Naruto looked up to see Iruka, the large shuriken embedded in his back. Why? Naruto choked out. Because, we are the same. We were both orphans, neglected and cast aside by the village. We know the same pain, your pain worse than mine. I know that it must be painful. Those glares from the villagers, even though you have done nothing wrong. Iruka coughed, spitting up blood. Naruto, you are truly a great person, promise me, that you will become what you dream to be. Naruto, someday, you will be a truly great Hokage. With that, Iruka passed out. He is a good shinobi and a good man, Daichi said, walking toward the unconscious body of Iruka. Naruto nodded. Naruto lifted the body of his teacher and rested it against the trunk of a tree. He turned back to face Mizuki, who was grinning in an evil way. Mizuki. You are going to pay for hurting Iruka and you are going to pay for insulting my father, Naruto growled. Hey, I've seen what you can do, fox brat. You're just a weak brat, demon, Mizuki said. Naruto growled. I'm tired of always being called a demon, Naruto growled. Since I was very little, I've been despised and tortured for something I had no power over. I was not a born demon, and contrary to what you may think, and no matter how I look now, no matter the technical term, I am not a demon now. A demon is a heartless beast who will destroy lives, just to get what he wants. I am not a demon, if anything, you are. Nice speech, demon brat, too bad, Mizuki smirked. Mizuki ran toward Naruto, shuriken readied. Die demon, Mizuki yelled, swinging the shuriken toward Naruto. Naruto jumped out of the way and kicked Mizuki in the face. Mizuki growled and rubbed his cheek. Damn demon, he muttered. I told you, Naruto yelled. I am not a demon. At this second, Iruka awoke from the dark depths of unconsciousness, just in time to see Naruto in action. Naruto quickly flashed a few one-handed seals. Kage Bushin no Jutsu, Naruto called out. In puffs of smoke, some Narutos appeared out of thin air. Iruka watched in awe. These clones weren't just illusions, they were solid. The 6 Narutos ran toward Mizuki, piling on top of him. In each of the Naruto's hands, formed a small red bubble, one that almost looked like glass. Kitsune no Awa. A.N. Kitsune no Awa means foxfire bubble. I couldn't think of anything better, so sue me. The Narutos all threw the fire bubbles at Mizuki, simultaneously. Each of the small bubbles exploded in a plume of red smoke, like smoke bombs, but the air flew like fire and small fires appeared where the bubbles had hit. The air was smoky and it made the lungs of the victim of the attack, which, thankfully, was Mizuki's lungs and throat burn. When the red smoke dissipated and the smaller fires burned themselves out, an unconscious Mizuki laid on his stomach, on the ground, a small fire burning at his vest. Naruto walked over to Mizuki's body and stomped out the fire. Naruto, Iruka said weakly. Iruka-sensei, Naruto said, running over to his teacher. I saw your battle, kid, that was awesome, Iruka said. Naruto rubbed the back of his neck. No problem. Naruto, close your eyes, I have a surprise for you. Okay, Naruto said, complying with Iruka's request. Iruka quickly untied his hite-8 and tied it around Naruto's own forehead. You can open your eyes now, Iruka said. Naruto opened his eyes and grinned. Congrats Naruto, you're a genin now, Iruka said. No, let's go get some ramen to celebrate. Yeah, hey, wait for me. I want some too, Daichi said, running up to the 2, still in his chibi form. Naruto was cheerful, to say the least. He was a genin. He was a genin, yes, and now we find everyone's favorite blonde half-demon, running in circles around the kitchen of his apartment, driving Daichi nuts. Daichi was sitting at the table, in his human form, slurping down his kitsune udon, suffering from a massive headache, which had been achieved by the constant listening to of Naruto's cheers. I'm a genin. Yada, Naruto yelled, continuing his running in circles. Daichi rubbed his temples and growled at his young student and former container. Shut it, Kit. Daichiving me nuts. Naruto stopped and stared at Daichi. He seemed completely clueless. Why? Because you're yelling. Why? Because you're way too happy. Why? Because you became a genin. Why? Because you did. Why? Shut up. Just because, now stop annoying me. You're no fun. And you're too loud, Daichi muttered. Now sit down, eat ramen and get your ass down to the academy before you're late. In case you didn't know, once you become a genin, you have to be put on a 3-man team under a single Junin sensei, and they don't particularly like it when you're late. I know this from many experiences when I was your age. Daichi shivered at the though and then muttered something that sounded an awful lot like, damn Yukito sensei, under his breath. Fine. Naruto muttered, pouting before greedily slurping down a whole bowl of instant ramen within a matter of seconds. Naruto, after finishing his small breakfast, rose from his seat at the kitchen table and walked toward the door. Ahem, y'all, no. You really should probably change out of your pajamas before going to meet your new teacher and teammates, Daichi laughed. Naruto looked down and noticed that he was still wearing his pajamas, which consisted of a black t-shirt, his boxers, and an odd nightcap that looked like a dog. Naruto laughed out of embarrassment and rubbed the back of his neck. Iheha, I'll go change, Naruto said, his face showing sheer embarrassment. He quickly ran into his room and changed. When he emerged from his room, he was wearing the same clothing that he had when he had first arrived in Konoha. A black hooded cloak with a golden Konoha leaf embroidered on the back, which was open, exposing an orange t-shirt with a black fox head outlined on the front, black shorts, black sandals, a shuriken holster on his right leg, and a necklace made from fangs and claws, which he almost never took off. The only difference between what he had looked like when he had returned to the village 2 years before were the fact that his hood was down and he was wearing his henge, not to mention he had grown considerably taller, at least a few inches, and he now wore his Konoha hite-8 around his forehead, half showing his village affiliation and half keeping his long, messy, and unruly hair out of his cerulean eyes. The necklace he wore, Naruto had been told, had actually been owned by his mother and, by chance, the Kyuubi. Daichi had picked it up, not long before he was sealed within Naruto. Naruto ran to the door and bolted out, running as fast as his legs could carry him toward the academy. Naruto. What are you doing here? I thought you failed the exam? Kiba asked, walking up to the blonde. I passes, Naruto cheered, pointing at his Hite 8. CC congratulations, Naruto-kun, Hinata stuttered, watching Naruto from afar. Thank you, Hinata-chan, Naruto said, appearing beside Hinata faster than a race car down a dirt track. Please excuse my southern ISMS. Why your WW welcome, Naruto-kun, Hinata stuttered, her face turning a truly new shade of crimson that would make Crayola green with envy. He called me Hinata-chan, Hinata thought, even stuttering in her mind. Naruto and Hinata had been friends for a while, but she was shy and didn't talk much, and Naruto often talked to her, just because she'd listen. It was a pretty well-known fact that Hinata had a huge crush on Naruto, yet Naruto seemed to be completely and utterly clueless on the fact. But still, they maintained a pretty good friendship, even though Hinata normally blushed, stuttered and even fainted in the presence of her crush, the half-fox, Naruto. Okay, class, today, you will be assigned to 3-man teams, under a Junin sensei, Iruka said, breaking all of the students out of the conversations, thoughts, and, in the case of Nara Shikamaru, sleep. Iruka went down the list of students, each student waiting for when their name would be called. Yamanaka Ino, Akamichi Choji, Nara Shikamaru, Team 10, your sensei is Sarutobi Isuma, Iruka called. How troublesome. Shikamaru muttered before falling back to sleep. Aburame Shino, Haruno Sakura, Uchiha Sasuke, Team 8, your sensei is Yuhi Kurenai. Cha. I'm on the same team as Sasuke-kun. Beat that Ino pig, Sakura yelled. Shut up forehead. Inazuka Kiba, Uzumaki Naruto, Hyuga Hinata. Team 7, your sensei is Hitaki Kakashi, Iruka called, addressing the final team. Naruto, Kiba, Hinata, and Kiba's dog, Akamaru watches as Junin came and their classmates left. By now, even Iruka had left and they were the only ones left in the classroom. Where is that damned sensei? Kiba complained. He should have been here like hours ago. Naruto added, I think I should teach him a lesson on being on time. Naruto smirked and pulled something that both Hinata and Kiba knew quite well, ever since they had become his friends, Naruto's infamous scroll of sealing pranks. Within it, Naruto had sealed anything he would ever need for a prank, and he carried it just about everywhere. Naruto flipped the scroll open and slammed his palm on a seal printed on the scroll paper, and in a puff of smoke, many materials appeared. Among them, buckets and bottles of water, confetti, toilet paper, cartons of eggs and glue, cans of silly string and jars of tomato sauce, fill water balloons, and spray paint. Naruto chose his medium for his next prank, a rather large red water balloon, and sealed the rest of the items back in the scroll. He closed his scroll and put it back in his shuriken holster. He walked to the door and opened it slightly. Reaching up, he put the balloon on the door frame and the top of the door, making sure that it wouldn't fall, not until it was opened, and at that time, it would fall directly on the head of whomever opened the door next. Are you retarded, Naruto? Kiba asked mockingly, do you really think a Junin would fall for such a simple prank? As if on cue, the door swung open, and the water balloon fell, drenching the silver-haired Junin that stood in the doorway. Naruto and Kiba burst into uncontrollable laughter. Not even Hinata could resist and started giggling softly at the sight. The Junin glared at the 3 students with his one uncovered eye. My impression of you 3, so far, the Junin spoke, I don't like you. The 3 shut up. Meet me on the roof, the Junin said, disappearing in a puff of smoke. Humph, 2 can play at that game, Naruto said, walking over to Hinata. Dog boy. If you want to get there quickly, get your ass over here, Naruto yelled to Kiba. Kiba looked at Naruto like he was crazy and walked over to Naruto, Akamaru sitting on his head. Naruto did a quick seal and quickly placed one hand on Hinata's shoulder and the other on Kiba's. He muttered something under his breath and disappeared too, but unlike the Junin, who had disappeared in a puff of smoke, the 3, 4 if you count Akamaru, disappeared into thin air, leaving a flash of yellow light behind. Kakashi looked up in surprise when he saw his new students appear in a matter of seconds, and in that fashion, he had only seen one person ever do that, especially producing a yellow flash. Only one person could do that. That person being the fourth Hokage, Uzumaki Arashi. Kakashi looked at his three students. One was a Hyuga, and another an Inuzuka. Neither of those clans could create such yellow flash, one only made by Konoha's legendary yellow flash. Kakashi's eye fell on a blonde-haired boy. The boy bared a strong resemblance to Kakashi's former teacher. Kakashi knew that if his sensei were still living, he could have mistaken this boy for him. Kakashi, even now, thought that this boy might have been Uzumaki Arashi's son. But Kakashi knew that Arashi had never had a son, or even a wife, for that matter, did he? Kakashi put the thought out of his mind. Okay, introduce themselves. Tell your name, your likes, dislikes, hobbies, dreams, you know, that kind of thing. Hyuga, you go first. Ahem, shouldn't you go first, sensei? Naruto said. SSHI said. My name is Hitaki Kakashi. My likes and dislikes are none of your concern. My hobbies are mine only. And as for my dream, I'd rather not say. Okay, you next, Hyuga. Well, at least we know his name, Kiba muttered, followed by a bark from Akamaru. My name is H. Hyuga Hinata. I'll like a lot of T things. I dislike people W who judge people B before T they know T them. My hobbies A are P pressing F flowers and practicing J Juken and B Buakugan. My dream is to make my father P proud, and T to be strong, L like my C cousin, N Neji. Kakashi nodded. Inuzuka, Kakashi said, pointing at Kiba. My name is Inuzuka Kiba. I like training, and eating and dogs. I dislike foxes. Kiba glared at Naruto. Even though they were pretty good friends, my hobbies are training with Akamaru and eating. My dream is, I really don't have one yet. Kakashi nodded again and pointed at Naruto. You next, Blondie. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, Naruto said. Kakashi's eye widened. This boy, he was of the Uzumaki clan, the same clan as Uzumaki Arashi, Yondaime Hokage, and his sensei. I like ramen and training. I dislike people who judge others, and people who don't care about their comrades. I also don't like the people who call me demon and glare at me all the time, and the 3 minutes it takes ramen to cook. My hobbies are training with Daichi Teme, eating ramen and learning my father's jutsu, and pulling pranks, he added. My dream is to one day become Hokage and surpass every other Hokage, especially the fourth. Kakashi stared at the boy for a moment before closing his eye. Okay now, let's get started. Tomorrow, you will be having a survival test. I will be testing to see if you are fit to become genin. What? Naruto and Kiba yelled. Then what the hell were the genin exams for? To see if you were fit enough to take this test, Kakashi answered simply. Only 2 of you will be able to pass, the other will be sent back to academy. Hinata's eyes went wide and she looked down. She would be sent back to academy, she knew it. Meet tomorrow at training grounds number 51 at 6 a.m. Don't be late. Also, don't eat breakfast, you'll puke. With that, Kakashi disappeared in a poof of smoke. Naruto was sitting on the ground, leaning against a tree. He was eating an apple, and petting the head of a particularly large 4-tailed orange-furred fox summon, by the name of Ichigo, with his free hand. He was wearing the same clothing he had the day before, and currently kept up his henge, concealing his foxy appearance. It was barely dawn and the sky was currently a marble of pinks and purples. The sun was still pretty low in the eastern sky. To be exact, it was about 6 a.m., and no one was there. Naruto-kun? Asked a small voice. Naruto looked up to see Hinata. Oh, hello, Hinata-chan. Naruto said cheerfully, waving at Hinata with the hand he had used to pet Ichigo. Hinata looked down at Naruto. Anu, Naruto-kun, Kakashi-sensei said that we shouldn't eat be breakfast, Hinata said. Naruto grinned. He said, breakfast. He said nothing about food in general, Naruto said. Plus, it's not smart charging into battle or doing any missions on an empty stomach, it'll do you more harm than good. Food gives you strength and energy. Naruto held up a second, uneaten apple and offered it to Hinata. Here, take it, you'll need it, Naruto said. Hinata shook his head. I couldn't, Naruto-kun. Hinata stuttered. Sure, y'all could. Hinata-chan. Naruto said, putting the apple in Hinata's hand, eat it. Thank you, Naruto-kun, Hinata said, taking a seat on the other side of Ichigo. Hinata took a bite of her apple. Naruto stared. Man, she's cute, he thought. Wait a minute. Where did that thought come from? Heh. Looks like little kid has a little crush, Daichi said through the little telepathic connection the two had. You're listening in on my thoughts again. Out of my head Daichi Teme, Naruto yelled mentally. Fine, I'm going. Have fun with you girlfriend, Daichi called out mentally, his voice disappearing from Naruto's mind. But this time, both Hinata and Naruto realized that Naruto was staring at Hinata. And both were blushing profusely. Sorry, Naruto said, looking down, attempting to hide his embarrassment. Hinata almost mirrored his movement. Ahem, how ya doin', lovebirds? Asked Kiba, accompanied by a bark from the dog, Akamaru. Kiba's statement made both Naruto and Hinata achieve a new shade of red. Nothing, Naruto said, slightly nervous. Hey, funny, I asked how are you doing, not what are you doing, Kiba laughed. If it was possible, both Hinata and Naruto turned an even deeper shade of crimson. Naruto choked on his words. Yo, said the ever-late silver-haired Junin, as he appeared in a puff of smoke. It was 1 a.m., so much for 6 a.m., phew. Thanked Kami, Naruto thought. What the hell took you so long, Kakashi-sensei? Both Kiba and Naruto yelled, followed up with an agreeing bark from the small puppy, Akamaru. I was lost on the road of life, lied Kakashi. Naruto shook his head. Liar, Naruto muttered under his breath, in unison with Hinata, who had muttered the same, only with a small stutter. And Kiba, he took a much louder approach to Kakashi's comment. And as loud as he possibly could, Kiba yelled, Liar, woof. Let's just get started, shall we? Kakashi said. Yeah. What are we doing anyway? Naruto asked, staring at his teacher. Kakashi looked at his 3 students and produced 2 small, silver bells. Your test is to take these bells from me. The thing is only 2 of you will get a bell and the third one will be tied to one of these logs. Kakashi looked toward 3 log posts. If you get a bell, you get lunch. If you don't, you get to watch the others eat while you're tied up. Only 2 of you will graduate, the 2 who get the bells. You have till noon to get the bells from me, or you all fail. I've set the alarm. So that's why he told us not to eat, the 3 thought in unison. With those words out of the way, Kakashi left the 3 new genin as a puff of smoke, leaving them to think up a plan, if they were smart enough to, that is. The 3 stared at each other, each wondering what to do. Kiba, arrogant as ever, ran off after Kakashi with Akamaru, not bothering to ask for help from his other 2 teammates. Naruto sighed and shook his head. He remembered what Daichi had told him about the bell test during their training. Flashback: Naruto was 9 years old, and in exactly 1 year, the unlikely duo, Naruto and the formerly 9-tailed fox, Daichi, would be returning to Konohagakure. Daichi was instructing Naruto on ninja ranks and tests and such, though Naruto wasn't paying much attention to the 3-tails lectures. Daichi stood tall in his chibi 3-tail form, as tall as a chibi can stand, and continued his speech knowing, full well, that his half-fox pupil wasn't listening. Ahem, tell me, Kit, do you think that after the genin test, that you are a full-fledged ninja? Daichi asked. Naruto stared blankly at the 3-tail. Yes? Daichi rolled his eyes and hurled a small rock at Naruto, hitting him on the head, with one of his 3 tails. No. Junin instructors tend to test their students. Test them to see if they are truly worthy of being genin. My sensei, Daichi then muttered something that sounded like, damn you, Kido-sensei, under his breath, before continuing, tested us in our teamwork through a test she devised, which she had nicknamed, Let's Kill Weakling Genin. Again, Daichi muttered something under his breath that sounded like, damn you, Kido-sensei. Naruto blinked. Daichi's sensei must have been harsh. Daichi continued. There is a Junin instructor in the village that you will soon call home. He's an Anbu who became a Junin instructor about 2 or 3 years ago. His name is Hitaki Kakashi. You better hope that he doesn't become your sensei. Anyway, he tests his genin in their teamwork. Muchi calls the test the bell test. It's considered to be so hard. I've heard that not a single genin has passed his test so far. Naruto looked surprised and prayed to Kami that he wouldn't have this Hitaki Kakashi as his Junin instructor. End flashback. Naruto sighed. He had never known how the three-tail had gotten his information, but he always seemed to have it, and 9 times out of 10, the fox was right. Naruto glanced back at Ichigo and then looked toward Hinata. I know what he wants us to do, Naruto stated. Hinata looked at her crush questioningly. The test. It isn't to test one's strength over the other genins, it's to test the teamwork of the team as a whole, Naruto explained. Hinata nodded. That makes sense, Hinata stuttered. Naruto nodded and grinned. He grabbed Hinata's hand and pulled her closer. He let out a whistle, signaling Ichigo to come. The large four-tailed arrived at Naruto's side. Ichigo was big enough for at least 2 people to ride. Naruto quickly mounted the back of his fox summon and pulled Hinata up behind him. Hold on tight, Naruto said. When we get there, Hinata-chan, I'll distract him, and you get the bells, okay? Dogboy will probably already be there. He'll unknowingly help us distract him, okay? Blushing as she held on tightly to Naruto's cloak, Hinata nodded. With that, Ichigo took off like a bullet. Kiba kept lunging at Kakashi, but every time he attempted to attack, Kakashi dodged or jumped out of the way. By this time, the bog boy was beginning to tire, and Kakashi was reading a little orange book, and seemed to be mocking the dog boy. Kiba growled and lunged at the silver-haired Junin once more. But the Junin jumped out of the way once more. At this time, a large creature burst through the bushes, between Kiba and Kakashi. It was a large orange fox with 4 tails. Upon its back sat 2 people, Hinata and Naruto. Kakashi was stunned, his eye widened. The boy who was the Jinchuriki of the 9-tailed fox had appeared, riding a 4-tailed fox. The two dismounted the overly large fox and Naruto leaned to Hinata and whispered something in her ear. Hinata-chan, I'll distract him, hurry and get the bells, Naruto whispered. Hinata nodded. Naruto turned to Kakashi. Fight me, Naruto stated, staring at the Junin. Naruto pulled out a kunai, quickly flashed a few one-handed seals. Kitsune Yushiki. Ano Kiranuki Haku no Jutsu, fox style, flame-cutting blow technique. The kunai in Naruto's hands became engulfed in flame. Almost instantly, Naruto threw the kunai at his Junin instructor, and as it flew toward Kakashi, it seemed to multiply into many flaming kunai, from all directs. Naruto laughed inwardly. The Kitsune Yushiki. Ano Kiranuki Haku no Jutsu, fox style, flame-cutting blow technique, was a favorite of Naruto's. It was a special fox jutsu that combined a simple ninjutsu with a fox illusion, a genjutsu. First, a simple fire ninjutsu turned the kunai into a flaming kunai, and then, using the fox illusion, one kunai seemingly multiplied into millions. And the best thing about fox genjutsu, it was almost undetectable by humans unless they knew quite a bit about fox genjutsu techniques. Kakashi didn't have time to react. He attempted to dodge, but to no avail. The flaming kunais were coming at him fast. The first, the real one, hit the ground a foot or so in front of Kakashi. The others, as they hit the Junin, seemed to disappear. None of the others hit the ground, they just vanished. An illusion. How was I not able to detect such a simple genjutsu? Kakashi asked himself, mentally. Naruto was smirking and his 4-tailed summon actually seemed to be laughing at the confused Kakashi. Just then, the alarm clock went off. Kakashi smiled. You tried, too bad, Naruto smirked. Actually, Kakashi looked down and noticed that both of the bells were missing. Huh. Naruto, still smirking, looked over to Hinata. Hinata was giggling, holding up both silver bells. You see, my job was to distract you, while Hinata-chan stole the bells. Since you were too caught up in my genjutsu, she had an easy time sneaking in and stealing the bells, while you weren't paying attention. Kiba, though unknowingly, helped out in distracting you as well. And since I know the true meaning of these tests, I guess we pass. Naruto explained. Those who don't follow the rules are trash, but those who don't protect their comrades are lower than trash. Kakashi's eyes widened. Where did you hear that? Naruto smiled. A friend of a friend. Well, you guys, pass. For the past week, Naruto, and the rest to Team 7, had been doing D-ranked missions, and by missions, it meant chores, from walking dogs and babysitting, to washing dishes, and finding Tora-chan 9 times. In the words of Nara Shikamaru, these missions were troublesome. Beyond that, they were demeaning and boring, and typically involved being scratched on the face by a cat named Tora-chan. All of Team 7, Naruto, Kakashi, Kiba, Hinata and Akamaru, made their way toward the Hokage Tower for a mission report and to get the next mission. Naruto was holding a struggling Tora-chan in his arms. All but Naruto had no clue that they were being followed. Trailing behind the small group was a small silver and orange fox with 3 tails and pupil-less emerald eyes, reading the ultra-limited edition, hollow foil, golden, shiny, prettyful, ultra-perverted, autographed Icha Icha Paradise, Volume 3, now with complimentary tissues in case of nosebleed. Daichi was perhaps the only male on the face of the earth that wouldn't get a nosebleed from reading the ultra-perverted Icha Icha Paradise. The 5, 6 if you include the cat, Tora-chan, plus Daichi, entered the Hokage's office. Sarutobi looked up from his monstrous mountains of paperwork and took the pipe from his mouth. Mission complete, Kakashi muttered. The owner of the cat, the daimyo of Hai no Kuni's wife, grabbed Tora-chan from Naruto's arms, giving him a few new scratches, and hugged the cat fiercely. Naruto grumbled and glanced over at the cat with pity. I actually feel sorry for the little furball, Naruto muttered under his breath. Good, Sarutobi said, for your next mission, you have the choice of washing dishes, walking dogs, collecting trash. Tora-chan. Or finding Tora the cat again. Hell no, Naruto yelled. I'm not taking another friggin' D-ranked mission. No more D-ranked missions. Iruka, whom had been talking to the Hokage before Team 7 had arrived, thumped Naruto on the head. Shut up, Naruto, Iruka yelled. You have to do D-ranked missions, we all did. To build up mission experience. Yeah, well, you didn't have to catch the same damn cat a billion times, Naruto retorted. Well, actually, Iruka, Sarutobi and Kakashi all said at once, shuddering at the terrible memories of getting the hell scratched out of them by a pissed cat, over and over and over again. That's beside the point, Naruto, Iruka said. Hinata, Kiba, do you both feel the same way about these missions? Sarutobi asked. Hinata nodded shyly, while Kiba yelled his response. Hell yeah. Woof. Then I suppose I could let you go on a C-ranked mission, with another team, Team 8, Sarutobi said. Sarutobi called a single Anbu black op into the room. A man wearing a panda mask appeared. Get me Team 8, Junin leader, Yuhi Kurenai. The panda Anbu nodded and took off. Okay, bring out the client. From the back appeared an old man wearing glasses, with a bottle of sake in his hands. This is Tazuna, Sarutobi introduced. HMPH. I don't trust these kids, especially the blonde, over there, Tazuna said. How are these snots supposed to protect me? A vein popped in Naruto's forehead. Relax, Tazuna-san, Kakashi said. I'm a Junin, plus, there will be another team, including 3 other genins and a Junin leader as well. As if on cue, Kurenai, Shino, Sakura and Sasuke appeared in the office of the Hokage. You called, Hokage-sama? Kurenai asked. Sarutobi nodded. Yes, you and Team Ig Tazuna, the bridge builder, as you escort him to Wave Country. I still say that these little brats can't protect me, Tazuna muttered. I already explained, Tazuna-san, you will have plenty of protection. 2 Junin and 6 Genin is quite enough to protect you, in any case. Also, I think I shall also be accompanying you, as well as Team 7 and Team 8, said a mysterious, new voice. Only 2 among the group recognized the voice as that of a certain fox, formerly the Kyuubi, Daichi. Daichi became viable to all, thankfully in his human form. His messy silver hair, dangling in his eyes and his pupil-less emerald eyes focused on the text of the book he read. He was wearing a forest green, high-collared cloak. He likes high-collar cloaks, and thanks to the special kitsune clothing, he can change the cloak's color at will, so he doesn't need but one, and a red bandana that covered his head. On the front of the bandana was a metal plate with an outline of a fox head etched into it. Like the fox head that Naruto wears on his clothing, only slightly different, Daichi currently has his nose buried in the perverted texts of Icha Icha Paradise as he spoke to the others. Oh, hello, Daichi-san, what bring you? Sarutobi asked, casually. The genin, with an exception of Naruto, Kiba and Hinata, whom had become accustomed to seeing the odd silver-haired man, Junin and Iruka stared. Just passing through, Sarutobi-san, Daichi said. The Junin and Team 8 looked at Daichi funny, for the way he had addressed the Hokage. It wasn't rude, but casual, almost like the way you would address a close friend. Most of the shinobi in the room were confused. Most had never seen Daichi. Iruka had only seen him a couple of times, most of the time in his chibi fox form. They were confused at the fact that Daichi could address the village's leader so casually. I would like to accompany these two teams, or more, my student, Naruto Baka, to make sure that he doesn't mess up too badly and make a total idiot of himself, Daichi said, ruffling a scowling Naruto's blonde hair. Plus, I'll do it free of charge, unless you've got some more of these books, then you can pay me with them. Excuse me, Hokage-sama, but who is this man? Kurenai asked. He is a friend of mine, but, you could ask Daichi, himself, Sarutobi said. They turned to Daichi, all but the genin of Team 7. Daichi looked up from his book and closed it. I am the wind. I wander freely and wait for no one. I watch from a distance, never staying in one place for long. Or simply, you can call me Daichi. I have no family name, and no title. I have no need for them, and formalities are too formal for my tastes, Daichi explained. Daichi, where did you come from? Sakura asked. Whatcha mean? Where did you come from? How come I've never seen you before? I dunno, I've been here for a good 2 years or so, Daichi said. In fact, I stood among the trees and right by the door, many times, while you were in academy, as I am sure Kiba knows quite well. Maybe you didn't notice me because you were too busy going gaga over Uchiha. Kiba made a funny face and glared at the fox-smelling man. Daichi looked over at the dog boy and stuck his tongue out in a childish manner. Sakura blushed at Daichi's comments. Kakashi caught glimpse of the metal plate on Daichi's bandana. Say, what village do you originally hail from, Daichi? Kakashi asked. I think it was called Onigakure, Daichi said. It was, somewhere, I don't remember where. Sakura opened her mouth, as if about to speak, but was silenced by Daichi. All information will be revealed in due time, but as of right now, I have things to attend to, Daichi said. With that, Daichi formed an odd seal, putting his thumbs and index fingers together to form a diamond-like shape, while crossing his other fingers in a criss-cross pattern, the demonic seal for fox. Kitsune Yushiki. Kitsune Kaji Yuso no Jutsu, fox style. Fox blaze transport technique. Daichi called, disappearing in a blaze of fire. The others, including Naruto, stared in disbelief. Damn, I really need to learn how to do that, Naruto muttered. The end. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next part.